Hi and welcome to Fridays with Fenning. Someone asked me the other day, what was I missing most because of lockdown? Now, my answer probably should have been not seeing family or not being able to gather on Sundays. But my honest answer was sport. I am so missing live football, cricket, golf, rugby. You know, I was planning to go and see England versus the West Indies in this summer's Test series. I'd even got the England Euro football matches in my diary so that they didn't clash with work too much. Now, sadly, they have all been cancelled. So what I've had to do is to console myself over these past few weeks by watching reruns of previous sporting occasions. Now, I know it lacks the jeopardy that live sport brings, but looking back and remembering Stuart Broad taking 8 for 15 against the Aussies in the 2015 Ashes series always brings a smile to my face. But if it's in the past and you know the score, why watch it? You know, is lockdown finally getting to Fenning? Well, no, I don't think so. I think there is something important about looking back, but not at the expense of engaging with the present or even planning for the future. See, it struck me that on the day of watching Stuart Broad's bowling feat again, I also watched the daily coronavirus update on the BBC just to hear the latest developments. And I also had a Zoom call with church leaders about what church might look like after lockdown. Past, present, future. Keeping the balance of all three is important at times of crisis and uncertainty. So this week, I want to think about looking back. Next week to focus on the present, and the week after, looking to the future. So first of all, why look back? You know, for some of us, this pandemic has hit us hard. We're fearful, anxious, lonely, missing what used to be, even wondering where God is in all of this. I mean, has he abandoned us? Is he punishing us? You know, if that's you, please know that you're not alone in feeling that. In fact, people throughout history have questioned God's presence when times have got difficult, but that they've found hope and comfort in looking back. You know, there are a number of psalms or songs that were written with brutal honesty that give insight into how people have coped with tough times. I mean, let's take a peek into one. Psalm 77 starts with this: I cry aloud to God, I cry aloud and he hears me. In times of trouble, I pray to the Lord. All night long, I lift my hands in prayer, but I cannot find comfort. Now, I didn't think you were meant to say things like that. I mean, it's not very full of faith, is it? And that's exactly the point. That's because he's expressing what we all feel at times. So he goes on in verse 3. When I think of God, I sigh. When I meditate, I feel discouraged. In other words, doing the things that helped me before don't seem to be working anymore. Verse 4. He keeps me awake all night, and I am so worried that I can't speak. I mean, is this expressing your anxieties, you know, sleepless nights about whether you should send the kids back to school, anxious about your business surviving or keeping your job, or fearful of a loved one catching the virus? Verse 5. I think of days gone by and remember years of long ago. I spend the night in deep thought. I meditate, and this is what I ask myself. Will the Lord always reject us? Will he never again be pleased with us? Has he stopped loving us? Does his promise no longer stand? Has God forgotten to be merciful? Has anger taken the place of his compassion? And then I said, what hurts me most is this, that God is no longer powerful. Wow, these strong words, these are big questions. But I love the honesty of the Bible. It doesn't shy away from human emotions or those gut-filled questions. And maybe they reflect how you feel right now. So where does the writer find hope? Well, looking back to better days is where he finds comfort. He's reminded of what God has done, and that gives hope in the present and hope for the future. This is what he writes in verse 11. I will remember your great deeds, Lord. I will recall the wonders you did in the past. I will think about all that you have done, and I will meditate on your mighty acts. So his focus switches to what God has done in the past. He says this: everything you do, O God, is holy. No God is as great as you. You are the God who works miracles. You showed your might among the nations. So do you see, there is something about looking back and remembering what God has done that fills him with hope and faith again. Now, just stop for a moment. What can you look back to and remember how God provided for you, how he included you or used you to do something good for others? What was that amazing answer to prayer that he gave? When were you most alive in your faith? These reminders help us to refocus, to regain perspective and discover hope and faith again. I have a whole stack of stories of God's power at work. I can look back to my sister's healing, how an anonymous gift was given to clear a large Barclaycard debt in full. Being present when Russell Gant and many others became Christians on Alpha. Seeing my 3 kids becoming followers of Jesus and really owning their own faith. Having a best friend called Steve Miles who's stuck with me over the past 40 years. Experiencing God's strength through bereavement. Finding someone who loves me as Sarah does. Seeing the Forge grow and develop in ways beyond what I ever dreamed. Honestly, the list goes on. And the more I do it, the more I remember, the longer the list is. So I'm reminded that God has the power to heal, to sort out financial difficulties, to bring people alongside to support me. A God who answers prayer, who gives strength in the most awful of circumstances. So what I feel about God today can be shaped by the truth of what I know he's done in the past. And just because God isn't working as I want him to now, doesn't mean that God isn't working. It's just that I'm not seeing the results yet. So what I want to ask you to do today is this. On your phone or in a notepad, begin to make a list and just keep adding to it of how God has worked in and through your life in the past. And then as you look over the ever-growing list, allow the past to reorientate your perspective during these difficult times. And I pray that through doing so, you will discover hope and faith again. So you see, watching Stuart Broad take all of those Aussie wickets back in 2015 plays an important role for me. It's a reminder of some very happy days. It fills me with joy and reminds me that there's still more to come. Hey, have a great weekend and don't forget to join us 10:30 on Sunday morning for our service together via website, via YouTube channel or via Facebook. Hey, take care.